Dr. Tom Roselle live right now, 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle live. We are in studio on this absolutely stunning, gorgeous Washington day. Finally, thank you so very much. I'm here to take your phone calls on any subject that you have in mind. Perhaps you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied, and you've come up with the same old, not a whole lot of anything that works. Well, this is your opportunity to put the fire out, to get something that works without drugs, without surgery, to take control of your own health. After all, life and your health is a do-it-yourself program. It is the end product, the end result of everything that you do. You are the captain of your ship. Give me a call right now at 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL, 1-800-630-9625. That's 1-800-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject. I got some interesting information for you today. Stuff that's going to kind of make you say, what, really? Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And that's the whole process that we do here on Dr. Tom Roselle Live every week. We're going to talk about things that make you forget, things that you end up saying, oh, I can't remember that anymore. My brain doesn't work like it used to. Did you know that your brain is gradually shrinking and deteriorating as you're sitting there listening to me? Did you know that? Your doctors won't tell you that. But the fact is, it's true that your brain begins to break down. Brain deterioration is a matter of life. It's about how you prevent it and how you maintain and how you recognize the subtleties and take proaction to be able to fix things before they get to the place. Mild cognitive impairment or significant Alzheimer's. I just came back from a unfortunate situation, a funeral, an older man, somebody in my family this weekend, and he'd been in nursing center for 7 years, and he'd suffered with significant Alzheimer's. So it was a blessing that he was taken from us. But you look at people like that and you say, nobody should have to suffer that. Nobody should have to go through that. And if you understand the process, if you understand things that happen to you and that your body begins to accumulate all kinds of things from trauma to stresses emotionally to biochemical irritations, then you begin to understand that there is a way of not only helping somebody who's gotten to that place, but also preventing it way before it gets there. You probably won't hear any of these things that I'm telling you from your traditional physician, although many of them are truly in the trenches in functional medicine. But here's the deal. Let's talk about the brain. The amount of physical wasting or atrophy, we also call that is deterioration of the brain structure, occurs naturally as time goes on. It happens with age. But it starts young, a whole lot younger than you would think, around age 30. Yeah, 30. I mean, we're just in the process of development. I figure I've got another, 40 plus years on this planet to turn things. But the truth of it is that at age 30, we begin to see just natural evidence of brain shrinkage unless you do certain things. The physical brain deteriorates, and its deterioration can be significant, be dramatic. And the end product, the neurocognitive problems, the diminished attention span that some of us get, the loss of verbal skills. We knew that years ago we were quick, we were sharp, we were able to attack, and we can't do that anymore. It's just not there. The thinking process. So as we get older, we start showing manifestations of ADD, ADHD, where our thought processes are in 10 different directions. It's a natural process, but one that can be controlled. The orchestration, the symphony of neurochemistry and hormonal signals and electrical signals that causes the brain to be able to have its computer-like capacity, its function, are wasted over time, and they're wasted for a lot of different reasons, and we're going to talk about that. If you have a question on this or anything else today, please call me. Love to hear from you, no matter what the question is, 888-630-9625. But today's program is going to be twofold. Second half of the program, we're going to talk about your environment. We're going to talk about that you may be being poisoned, if you will, in your home and in your office and in your car, and not even know that you're having things put upon you. Well, we'll talk about that later on because this is part of it. But let's talk about impairments of the brain. Let's talk about what happens that sets the stage for this thing. And we're going to talk about how to preserve cognitive function. And this is actually a program that we could spend 5 hours or more and just begin to scratch the surface just a little bit. Subtle declines in memory, reasoning, cognitive ability statistically are likely to progress well beyond just, I forgot why I'm in the room and where are my keys type of thing. A number of Americans on a daily basis will succumb to cognitive decline and eventually into what we call old age dementia, worse, Alzheimer's. According to Alzheimer's Association, there's a statistic out there that says 5.3 million Americans are recently afflicted with the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, this mind-robbing, depleting problem. And actually, in some people, they say that the statistics are even higher than that. And it's expected to increase as all of us baby boomers get older. Mild cognitive impairments, called MCI, is related to a condition that often precedes the development of Alzheimer's, and it's a type of dementia. And the international study suggests that up to 40% of older people, 40% of us, almost 1 out of 2, will be affected by some form of mild cognitive impairment, and ultimately they'll go on to develop Alzheimer's dementia. I delivered a lecture some years ago to one of the integrative health care schools, and I noted in the literature that 15 to 20 years was what they said was likely to develop Alzheimer's and very significant cognitive problems. And by age 80 to 85 years old, 50% of everybody will suffer from some form of dementia. That's unacceptable to me. For the type of person that I am, that's not okay. That's not something that I'm willing to say, that's cool, well, what can you expect for your age and so forth. The bottom line is that you can shift that. You can change that. Brain atrophy has many susceptible predispositions and things that are at your hands to change. And they will accelerate deep cognitive decline in later life if that's part of you. And we're going to touch on that a little bit today because you need to know. You need to know what really is out there, what we know about these types of conditions. I get patients who come into our practice and we see whiplash injuries and we see blows to the skull and blows to the body affecting the neurological system. And as a integrative care practitioner, we're using manual therapies, manipulation, we're using acupuncture, we're using nutrition to try to turn these things around. But the problem is that it's the injury, the damage, the internal structure that if we don't recognize it and if we don't tune you into the fact that there's been an injury here that can destabilize neurological communication, then you nor us can do anything about it. But working together, if we do get it, we can do things. How do you detect these problems? Well, there's an attention, if you will, impairment condition that seems to go along with age, but impairments can be quantified using very objective tests, and sometimes I look at these things and I say, well, that has a lot to do with who I am. Omissions, missed stop, for example, you forget about things, they're not there anymore. Sometimes you do things for no reason whatsoever. They're acts of commission. It's an opposite situation. Response time is slow. You have kind of this lacking from initiation to something that you do. You don't move as quickly as you used to. Response variability. How you respond to these things become inconsistent. And then there's the pattern that we pull all types of things together. That's just one piece of attention impairment. So let's look at what happens. Let's look at the patterns. One of the areas for me that is very interesting has to do with body function. And we can say strong muscles and the brain works extremely well. So if the neurostructural system is working, there's tremendous evidence that says that the brain is going to work. That if the body is strong, the brain is stronger. Fortunately, it's possible to fight back against the odds of growing old gracefully. I hate that term because there's nothing that I'm going to do about growing old gracefully. I'm going to grow tough and hard, and I'm going to have everything that I need to have to do what I used to do. And fortunately, at my tender young age, I still can do those things, and all of us can do the same thing. Whether you're 30 or whether you're 90, there's a way of turning the clock around if you're willing to do that. And when it comes to strength and it comes to neurological balance, that's the beginning step. That's where we all need to focus. It's possible to fight back and improve your odds of aging. You have to make sure that you understand that the body does accelerate in its decline. But once you understand that and you can do things to minimize that effect and maximize your body's capacity to live well, that takes on a whole different subject. Nutrients that support healthy brain structure go from, how to maximize your hormones, and some, you get into the functional medicine community, they want to use bioidenticals. I'm not a great supporter unless there's absolutely no other way of turning things around, because the truth of it is that you support your own body systems. You can maximize your hormonal response, providing that you don't have significant stress, structural, chemical, emotional, degenerative pathways that occur. So we need to preserve cognitive function in many different ways. So let's talk about it. Let's say from the baseline that 30 years old is your benchmark. So your brain begins to structurally deteriorate as early as 30 years old. That means at 30 you're over the hill. Years ago when I was in undergraduate school, they said never trust anybody over the age of 30. Well, there's a reason, right? Because your brain's going down the tubes. The truth is that we see a beginning decline of brain capacity due to its actual physical size beginning at that age. We need to maintain cognitive function from a very youthful point of view. We also stop challenging ourselves in our 20s for most people. We don't continue the process, so you need to continue challenging that memory. Declining memory function also begins, as we said, and progresses rapidly until you hit 50. And at age 50, it seems like it just accelerates. It hyper-accelerates. Fortunately, it's possible to be very proactive in all this and maintain a very strong, youthful mind as we begin to get older. Maintaining healthy body weight is one of the key conditions to not only maintaining good cognitive function, but preventing Alzheimer's. So let me say that again. Body weight and Alzheimer's seem to have a linear correlation. And this comes from a lot of things that are out there today. And the more that we understand that, the more we understand that the body fat stores a lot of toxins. In our second half of the program today, we're going to talk about toxins. We're going to talk about things that break the system down. If you have any problems with brain function, we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do about it, some of the things that you can take. I want you to call me today at 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. We're here every Sunday at 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL, trying to give you the most up-to-date, insightful information as we possibly can. But as we go through today, I want you to understand that exercise and lowering your body weight are the keystones of making sure that your brain is working the way it's supposed to, getting aerobic type of exercise. Cognitive impairment, mild cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's disease are more significant than what you think. And people who are sedentary, people who are overweight, people who are not eating things that are helpful to the body increase the problem. Shrinking muscle mass correlates with declining blood flow. And if your blood isn't getting to the brain's not going to work. The greater the risk, the correlation is to that set of circumstances we just talked about. So I want you to understand that there is a direct one-on-one correlation to your fitness and to how you think. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I am in studio. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. How you reach me today is 888-630-9625. That's 888-630 WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject you have your mind. We're talking about neurocognitive problems. The brain shrinks and you lose your mind, or can't think anyway. We're going to teach you how to fix that a little bit. And then if we have a little time, we're going to teach you something about that your environment might be killing you and what you can do to take action steps to change that. Last Wednesday evening's in-house continuing education program at the Roselle Center for Healing was an unbelievable over-the-top success. Matter of fact, to the point where we had to turn many, many people away. Out of respect for all of you, we're going to do the program twice. So those of you who didn't have the opportunity to attend Dr. Poe's presentation on thyroid function problems, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, this is your second opportunity. And I apologize to you, all of you that called in, and we had to respectfully say, unfortunately, we're full. You can do that this Thursday evening, the 13th of October at 7:30 p.m. in our office. And if you would like to attend that class, our in-house continuing education program, please remember that it is a gift to you, but we do need reservations. Call my office at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to attend Dr. Poe's lecture this Thursday night on thyroid function and hypothyroidism. We were delighted that you were so excited about the program, and we're here to help and to assist and educate and put you on your path to your own great life and great wellness. So give us a call, 703-698-7117. Talking a little bit about traumatic head injury. You know, you see it more often than any place else in the NFL, and the NFL is finally beginning to address long-term effects of its players getting banged in the head. You've seen boxers, what happens after they retire, they can barely talk to you. But the problem is that it extends in many situations. We see it in our office in injury cases, people who have car accidents. They're smashed up against the windshield or the steering wheel, or even with the airbags as they explode and they hit you right smack in the face. It's estimated that 1.4 to 3.8 million Americans sustain traumatic brain injury every year. That's a whole lot of people, and most of them go unreported. Traumatic brain injury encompasses everything from sports and falls and bumps in the head and the things that we've talked about with car accidents and the like. The loss of memory, the sluggish reactions, the aggressiveness that occurs sometimes, the impulsivity, apathy are just beginning signs of what takes place when the brain is injured. Brain scans using MRI imaging and sometimes are revealing, sometimes using PET tests, which show the brain soft tissue in a very different way. Sometimes CAT scans can show deterioration, but they don't show the beginning stages of what takes place, and you need to understand that. So you have to go with, oh my gosh, my brain's not working like it used to. Where you have to take a look at is the next step, and that's the effect of how the body works with different brain chemistries. Everything from dopamine, which is the feel-good juice, if you will. It regulates the body's ability to maintain or increase or decrease weight, experience pleasure, feel energetic. When dopamine levels fall, people get fat. Addictions occur, and fatigue results in many situations. GABA, which is something called gamma-aminobutyric acid, is a very crucial neurotransmitter, and it stabilizes brain function and brain chemistries when it comes to cognitive patterns. When you see declines in cognitive function, you see declines in GABA levels as well. There's things that have to be looked at very specifically. I said a little earlier that many studies, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people, have shown that exercise increases the production of many of the brain neuropeptides and allows the brain to stop atrophying, at least slows it down. But also, more importantly, it allows the brain to be plastic, moldable, functional at very, very high levels, increasing blood supply and forming new structures, so you can actually turn things around. It's not a dead structure that once it's gone, it's gone. It's important that you understand that you have the capacity to fix this stuff. When I attended school years ago, we learned that there are many types of cells that will regenerate, and we also were told that neural structures really didn't respond the same way. But what we know now is that the brain will begin to reform, but more importantly, as long as you have neurological capacity at any level, it will take up the capacity for other parts of the brain. It's a very holographic system, so each piece of the nervous system has the memory of every other piece of the nervous system, and if you lose one piece, you can stimulate it from another piece and turn the system back on.
Dr. Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm here at 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. Love to talk to you. 888-630-9625. Talking about neurocognitive dysfunction, we said that your brain begins to shrink starting about age 30. That's right, age 30. Some of us are already over the gone and done gone. And we continue it at age 50. We hyper-accelerate that loss unless you stop it, unless you do something differently. Because the bottom line is the stresses of bodily injury, the stresses of eating the wrong things, the stresses of emotional stress, if you will, begin to cause dramatic and sometimes irreversible changes. Now, we said before we broke for the news that the brain has a holographic memory, meaning that every portion of the brain has the memory of every other portion of the brain. So if you know how to take that and stimulate that and reverse it, guess what? You can get things back and not only stop the progression, but you can get it back. Tremendous causes of dementia. We talked about things we know about Alzheimer's, and we can take that subject and we can talk about exposures and toxicities and all of that stuff. We can talk about hormone and neurotransmitter deficiencies in the brain and in the rest of the body. We spoke about dopamine. Dopamine is actually produced in the intestinal tract, 80% of it, and it works in the brain and it stimulates neurobrain transmission. Toxic disorders will cause dementia from heavy metal leakage of lead and mercury and other toxic metals to drug abuse and alcoholism, vitamin deficiencies that can be caused by all those things we talked about, particularly the B vitamins, and specifically vitamin B1, thiamine, and vitamin B3, niacin. Organ shutdown dysfunction, from thyroid problems to kidney problems, the liver, respiratory. Most of us don't think about the liver. The liver is your largest organ of filtration. And everything that you put in your body's got to go through there. Trauma. We talked about a boxer getting smacked in the head. How about when you fall, when you have a skiing accident? If you played soccer, you've gotten into martial arts and you've taken blows to the head. The problems with tumors and like sometimes they come and go. Cell phones today are destroying brain function. We have a permeability that is broken down, and these neuroelectrical impulses are getting into our brain. Degenerative diseases, all the way from thyroid problems to MS, and we can talk about how they cause problems to really come about when they shouldn't come about, when they're totally preventable. But exercise, diet, balancing the hormones with natural therapies can reverse the process and can reverse it significantly. Stan, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Well, I just came out of a coma recently, and I lost 40 pounds while I was in it, and I'm wondering, should I try to get my weight back on?
Well, let me ask you some questions first.
Sure.
Number one, how old are you?
45.
What happened? How'd you happen to go in a coma?
I was fishing, and I got attacked. I was blitz attacked by 4 guys for no reason.
Okay, so you have a lot. Tell me the aftermath. Now that you've come out of the coma, how long were you in it?
I was in the coma for a month. They shattered every single bone in my face.
Oh, man.
And left me for dead.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
That way, it happened. But, I came out of the coma, and I had 10 operations, reconstructive surgery operations on my face, thoracic surgery on my lung. One of my ribs went through one of my lungs. Some of my teeth got knocked into my lungs. Great surgeons. They put me back together great, but I'm still down to 160. I'm 6'1", and I'm normally at around 190, 200 pounds.
How long has it been since you came out of the coma?
Almost. It was the day after Mother's Day.
Okay. How long has it been since you've been out of the hospital?
I've been home for about 5-6 months.
Okay, so one of the things that you don't want to do is just put weight on for the sake of putting weight on. That's going to be the wrong thing to do.
Right.
Because if you start just putting calories on, you're going to put junk into the system, and your body's not going to be able to deal with that. Now you're going to have a toxic load on top of everything else. With the trauma, with the injury that you've taken, your neurological system throughout your whole body has gotten scrambled. So
right. Well, here's one other problem that's really killing me now. It's really bothering my shoulders. Both of my shoulders are like really sore since I've lost weight.
Well, you've lost muscle mass, too.
I have lost all muscle mass because my body weight was normally about 8%.
Just remember, with the beating that you've taken, you've also ended up with neurological irritation to the nerves that come out of your spine, so you probably have a lot of off-centering of the vertebrae, causing compression and irritation. That needs to be checked and make sure that that you have proper balance in neuromuscular alignment. A chiropractor or a good osteopath that does manual care can take care of that. You have to make sure that the neurological system is balanced. I would recommend acupuncture to do that, and then somebody who does craniosacral work to begin to balance the skull and the spinal fluid motion. Now, having said that, your next step, that's got to be a piece of the puzzle, because that's going to direct how your body works and begins to integrate all these things. The next piece that you have to look at is putting the right caloric level in your body for your activity level at this point, and making sure that dietary pattern is healthy. Enough proteins to begin to repair the system, enough minerals and vitamins to begin to start the initiating process of enzymes and neurological transmission. Anything short of that, your body's going to put excess calorie intake into storage, and that's called fat, and that's something that you don't want to have happen.
That's one of the things I'm worried about, because now I'm 45, now all my weight wants to go into my stomach.
Yeah, and I
can't work out.
True, and the problems that you're having with the trauma is going to shunt your hormones. Your adrenal system, your fight-flight system is going to be compromised at this point because of the stress pattern, both of what happened and also recovery, and we don't know anything about how you were prior to that. But when cortisol rises way, way high, you end up eating your body up. When cortisol crashes after that, then you end up storing things like fat, and your metabolism decreases, and you can't process.
Well, what they told me to do was, it's going to be a year. So I'm sorry I talk funny because they knocked all my teeth out, too.
You're doing a great job.
What they told me to do is you need to rest and, recuperate, convalesce for a year. And let your body repair itself, and then start working on it again. I heal rather quickly.
Well, the thing of it is, it's yes and no. But you have to take the systems together. You do have to make sure that you get a lot of good sleep in, and that sleep, the best healing sleep is at nighttime, and you should be getting 8 hours to 9 hours of sleep a day. If you get 7, and then you take a couple rest periods in between.
Now I'm getting to the point where I feel like my body's atrophying because I don't work. So I'm a mechanic. I build cars. That's what I do.
Well, you need to get exercise. I'm not telling you.
I know. I need exercise.
But you can't overdo it.
And they say, you can't lift over 20 pounds because you might tear the muscles loose in the face that we put all back together again.
Well, there's ways of finding out how strong those things are. What I would suggest to you is first that you get a nutritionist that can help you begin to balance dietary patterns based on your need and nutritional patterns. I'll give you some nutrients right now that your body should have, but nevertheless, you need to make sure that your dietary sources are good, and then exercise taking you through step by step, beginning to rebuild the core, the muscles, the intrinsic muscles that actually hold you together. And then based on that, you begin to expand outwards. I mean, we can direct you. I'll be more than happy to guide you. You can write me at rosellecare.com, which is our website.
I listen to your program all the time.
Okay, great. So get a hold of me, and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. And
my name's Stan Alexandria. That's what I'll put on my head.
No problem. Thank you.
And thanks, buddy. Hey, thanks for talking to me.
Okay, listen on, because I'm going to give you a couple things you can start on right away, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for your call. So in this type of situation, we've got to repair the nervous system. We've got to be able to repair neurocognitive discipline. If I sat down and talked to him in the office, I'm going to find that there's a lot of things that are probably scrambled for him. But I would use B complexes. I would use vitamin C. I would probably begin to supplement something called GABA. I would get him to rest. I would use phosphatidylserine at nighttime, about an hour or so before he goes to bed. Acetyl L-carnitine, and that would also begin to reinstitute normal neurological flow. Branched-chain amino acids, which are the building blocks for all proteins. Any branched-chain, true free branched-chain amino acids bypass liver metabolism, so they go directly to muscle function to be able to turn the system back on and begin to repair and begin to rebuild the body the way it's supposed to. So that's where you start, but his protein levels have got to be up. His calorie levels have to be strong calories, meaning proteins and and things that are high in minerals. Lots and lots of vegetables. And in his situation, we don't know how the intestinal tract is working, so we would probably have him juice vegetables to try to get high levels of readily available. We would keep him away from anything that is toxic, only organic foods, and his body would begin to heal. It can be turned around. He can do extremely well. It's one of those things, unfortunately, we've seen many times over the years. And you don't even have to go to the end place where he was so damaged. It comes from people that have had car accidents, people who have, taken a blow to their body, and we begin to see it as neurological irritation and neurological impairment all the way through. I keep trying to point to the fact that the body is extremely able to reverse almost anything, and you need to understand what happens. I told you earlier we're going to talk some about environmental toxins, and there's many of them. There's many things that you need to know about and you need to be aware of. Just living in your house sometimes will make you get sick, and there's natural options. There's things that are far more safer than what you're doing. There's something called phthalates, and these are found in anything that's fragranced, household products such as air fresheners and dish soaps and toilet paper and things of that nature. There's some laws of certain levels that they can't, but the problem is that these can disrupt neurological transmission in the body. They can decrease sperm count in men. They can decrease libido. They can cause cancer. So you need to understand that there are no real underlying safeguards to protect you. And there's alternative choices. There's things that you can buy, organic products, fragrance-free products. The greener, the better when it comes to that. Stay away from aerosol as much as possible. If you begin to do your homework, you begin to realize there are other options. There's something called perks or perchlorothioneins, and these are dry cleaning solutions and things that remove spots and on your upholstery and carpets and the like. And they're neurotoxic. They can actually cause very rapid deterioration of cognitive function in your body and brain health. There are other choices as well. You can go on and contact the EPA, and they can give you lists of things that will make a huge difference. And the list goes on and on and on, and unfortunately on today's program we don't have the time to go through them, but I'll give you a little bit more. Most of your liquid washing agents, your dishwashing detergents, your antibacterial soaps and so forth, they promote drug-resistant bacteria, and that's not a good thing. You keep using these things. We've talked about if you use antibiotics all the time, what happens is that these bacteria, these microorganisms that are really you're only susceptible to them when your immune system is down, now they become less able to be attacked. And, there are things that you should be using, like just use simple, detergents and soaps. And if you look at the package with really short list of additives and all those things that they put into it, if you're hooked on a hand sanitizer, choose one that's alcohol based and it doesn't have all the antibacterials in there. Alcohol is a natural antimicrobial. Use that instead. We need to think. We need to take control. You have to realize that your health is in your hands, that you are the steward of that ship, that body that you live in. Anything short of that is allowing the world to dictate to you, and Fifth Avenue drug companies to dictate to you, and mass marketers to dictate to you. That's not what it's all about.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We're here at 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. Love to talk to you. 888-630-9625. Try to bring you the most up-to-date, cutting-edge information in the integrative care world, but more importantly, putting you in the driver's seat of your own health, of your own wellness, because your health truly is a do-it-yourself program, and that's the title of my book that many of you have. But I want to also let you know that the audio version was just released last week, so if you don't have the time to read, now there's no excuse. You can pick up the audio version. Go to my website. Right now, that's where it is. It'll be online soon, but go to rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE.com. And just write us a note and say, say, hey, listen, I want the audio version, and they'll let you know what the price is, and they'll get back to you and so forth. But all that will be up this week, and I'd love to have you get that, because here's the deal. My job, and has been for all the years I've been in practice, is not only to treat people for the problems and try to get them back on the track into the direction that they need to be in, but more importantly, to empower you, to get you to understand that it's about you. It's about the decisions that you make. It's about the choices. It's about the environment. It's about the way you think about things. And for me to say anything else other than that, for me to say that it is about what I do for you, is foolishness. It's truly about what you do for yourself, the responsibility that you take for yourself, for your family, for your lives, for the ultimate wellness. That's your birthright. That's what health is, and I want you to have that. Call my office, 703-698-7117, or go online at rosellecare.com and let my staff know that you would like a copy of the audio version of my book, Health is a Do-It-Yourself Program, and it truly is a do-it-yourself program. I want to remind you that this Thursday evening, Dr. Leonard Poe is going to be your in-house presenter. Again, second week in a row, because we sold out last week. Well, what that means is that we packed the room and we didn't have any more room. So we're going to do it twice. And if you'd like to attend his lecture on thyroid problems and Hashimoto's problems and hypothyroidism and immune problems relative to thyroid, this is your opportunity. The last time we're going to be doing it for a while. So give our office a call, 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to be there and reserve your seat, because if you don't have a reservation, we don't have room for you. So give us a call. We're talking a lot today about neurocognitive problems and what to do about them. And the truth of it is, absolutely the positive truth is that your body, including your brain, is extremely forgiving. But you got to challenge it. You got to step up to the mark. You got to do those things that make a difference. You got to do, puzzles, and you've got to challenge, and you've got to work. And don't retire. Please don't ever say the word retire. I hate the word retire. Find something else you want to do. If you don't like the job you're doing and you've worked a lot of years at it, you got your pension, your whatever that is that they're going to give you, do something else on top of it. You got to do something else, because otherwise that old brain of yours is going to go down the tubes. If I can ever be of help to you, you can get a hold of me online at rosellecare.com, and we'll get back to you. If you'd like to talk to us, you can give that phone number a call as well, 703-698-7117. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. See you next week. Bye.